In the turbulent theater of human interaction, where voices often rise and arguments spiral into noise, what if the greatest weapon you possessed wasn't a sharp retort, but a profound stillness? What if you could navigate the chaos, the sudden betrayals, the failing plans, the moments that threaten to break you, not by trying to control the uncontrollable storm, but by mastering the inner ship that sails through it? Stoicism, the ancient yet ever-vital philosophy, teaches a radical truth. You can't control what happens, only how you respond. You are powerless to stop the judgment of a critic, the failure of a grand effort, or the impulsive fury of another person. But your ultimate, inalienable power lies in your attitude, your discipline, and your peace of mind. True freedom, the Stoics claimed, begins when you cease to be a slave to external events and start becoming the master of your internal world. So, when life, or a difficult person, hits hard, the truly powerful response is not a desperate "why me," but a quiet, formidable "try me." This is Stoicism in action, calm in chaos, strength in silence, and power in patience. Today we delve into the heart of this ancient wisdom to reveal 5 responses so intellectually potent that they can dissolve conflict, set unshakable boundaries, and silence even the most aggressive opponent, not through shouting or insult, but through the sheer force of pure intelligence and self-control. Imagine holding the key to a conversation where, with a single measured sentence, the other person lowers their voice, changes their gaze, and finds they have nothing left to say. This is not about winning an argument, it is about protecting your dignity and establishing your mental dominance. It doesn't matter if you are facing a demanding boss, a relentlessly difficult family member, or a stranger intent on imposing their will. These 5 responses will not only act as an impenetrable shield, but will also place you in a position of unassailable power without ever losing your composure. And pay the closest attention to the 3rd and 4th responses. If applied correctly, they are capable of disarming even the most skilled emotional manipulator. Stay until the end, because when you integrate these into your life, you will not just notice the silence, you will feel the profound, liberating shift in your own power. The frustration of the unheard and the definition of true strength. Everyone, at some point, has known that deep, burning frustration. You are speaking something perfectly logical, entirely valid, perhaps even necessary, but the person across from you simply is not listening. Worse, they seem to be winning the exchange, not because their argument is right, but because they shout louder, interrupt faster, or attack more aggressively. In our modern culture, strength is often mistakenly associated with volume, conviction with imposition, and respect with fear. But that is not respect, it is merely a momentary domination. True power is never about imposing your will through force. It is about expressing your truth with such clarity and control that the other person is fundamentally left with no other choice but to listen. The path to this true power is paved by Stoic wisdom, a wisdom that transforms reaction into deliberate action.
5 pillars of Stoic silence. Responses to defend your peace. Response 1. I don't need to raise my voice to be right. There are moments when someone raises their voice, fundamentally believing that volume equals authority. They shout, they interrupt, they invade the atmosphere, and they expect you to mirror their fury. If you descend into that emotional arena, you have already conceded defeat. This phrase is an act of intellectual secession. It is an elegant way to step completely out of the noise without abandoning the conversation. Imagine the scenario: a tense meeting, an argument at home, or a conflict on the street. The other person escalates their tone, trying to seize control of the emotional environment. Instead of meeting their fire with your own, you maintain your center. Your voice remains calm and level, and you deliver the line, "I don't need to raise my voice to be right." This phrase does more than just halt the immediate attack. It sends a single, devastatingly clear message. You do not play on the field of emotional confrontation. You operate solely on the field of mental dominance. In that instant, the listener realizes the dynamic has irrevocably changed. You are no longer arguing. You are leading. The Stoics taught that self-control is not repression, it is real strength. Epictetus observed, "He who cannot control his tongue will be a slave to his emotions." This response is a living demonstration of that principle. You do not need to shout because your logic is sufficient. You do not need to impose yourself because your confidence already commands the space. This pillar of power not only silences the one shouting, but also opens the eyes of everyone around you. Because when you speak with serenity in the face of a storm, the world notices who holds the true, quiet, and lasting power. Response 2. The way you speak says more about you than it does about me. When you are attacked with sarcasm, mockery, or raw contempt, the most visceral and tempting thing is to retaliate in kind, to sink to their level. This is the precise moment many lose their self-respect and the argument. This phrase acts as a clean, polished mirror. It does not respond with violence, it does not defend with desperation. It simply reflects back the nature of what the other person is showing. The way you speak says more about you than it does about me. By uttering these words with calm conviction, you immediately deactivate the venom in their attack. You are not insulting them, you are not seeking their approval, and critically, you are not accepting their game. Imagine a conversation where a cruel or dismissive comment is thrown your way. You could lash out, but instead you meet their gaze calmly and deliver this phrase. Something transformative happens. They are forced to hear themselves. In hearing their own words reflected by your peace, they feel the full, isolating weight of their own disrespect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This response is the perfect, concise translation of that Stoic principle. You not only maintain your peace, but also force the aggressor to confront their own lack of respect. Furthermore, there is a profound, powerful lesson here. When you do not react as they expect, you change the script. And when you change the script, you change the dynamic of the power. This response is the anthem for those who have chosen not to stoop, not to surrender, and not to allow the attitude of others to ever define their character. Epictetus, who journeyed from being a slave to teaching wisdom to the elite of Rome, crystallized this. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. What truly defines your character and the respect others offer you is not what you experience, but your precise response to that experience. In the context of an argument, this means one clear thing. You don't need to shout to win. You need to respond with precision. Seneca eloquently warned, "To speak in anger is like shooting an arrow without aiming." A thoughtless, impulsive phrase can shatter a relationship, close an essential door, or cause you to lose respect that took years to earn. These 5 phrases are not tools for humiliating another person. They are tools to defend your dignity with elegance, to set boundaries without violence, and to make even your harshest critics fall silent. Because when you speak with clarity, calm, and confidence, you are no longer arguing, you are leading.
Response 3. Let's talk when we can do it respectfully. Some conversations are not conversations at all. They are attacks disguised as dialogue. The other person interrupts constantly, raises their voice to an unacceptable degree, attempts to impose their truth, and expects you to continue participating in the degradation. But you are not obligated to participate in a dirty game. This phrase is not a retreat or a sign of fear. It is a declaration of inviolable principles. Let's talk when we can do it respectfully. It is direct, it is mature, and it is absolutely firm. You are not running away from the topic, you are raising the standard for engagement. Imagine arguing with someone who refuses to let you complete a single thought. They interrupt you again and again, their tone is increasingly aggressive.
Instead of escalating, you initiate a strategic pause. You breathe, you ground yourself, and you say with measured calm, "Let's talk when we can do it respectfully." In that moment, you completely shift the axis of the conversation. It is no longer about the topic being discussed. It is about the minimum conditions required for that conversation to have any meaning whatsoever. This type of boundary setting, according to Epictetus, is the truest reflection of self-mastery. He stated that you cannot control what others do, but you can control what you accept. By saying this phrase, you are making it clear what you accept as a minimum standard and what you fundamentally do not. You do not need to shout or over-explain. You simply establish a clear emotional boundary that compels the other person to look at themselves and, more often than not, to be quiet. Because whoever cannot speak with respect has forfeited the privilege of speaking with you. Response 4. I'd prefer not to continue this conversation. There are defining moments when continuing to talk is utterly pointless. The other person is not truly listening, they have no desire to understand, and they only want to win, even if it is at the profound cost of hurting you or wasting your irreplaceable time. This is where this phrase becomes your final, unbreachable shield of peace. I'd prefer not to continue this conversation. It is simple, it is clear, and it is profoundly powerful. It asks for no permission, it offers no justification, it just puts a clear, definitive end to the toxic exchange. Imagine a scenario where someone insists on provoking you, lacing every word with poison, and you can feel your hard-won patience thinning. Instead of losing control and exploding, you breathe, you look at them with serene finality, and you say, "I'd prefer not to continue this conversation." The effect is immediate and absolute. It cuts the toxic dynamic at the root. And most importantly, it hands control back to you. Marcus Aurelius gave us the foundational wisdom. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. When you choose not to continue, you are actively protecting your energy, your focus, and your dignity. This is not giving up. It is the act of deciding that your internal peace is worth infinitely more than having the last fruitless word. Whoever witnesses you do this understands that you are not avoiding conflict, you are rising decisively above it. This phrase is like locking a sturdy door on a storm. And sometimes closing that door is the greatest, most defiant act of strength you can perform. Response 5. That's your opinion and I respect it, but I don't share it. Not all arguments are with outright enemies. Sometimes they are with close friends, well-meaning colleagues, or family members who insist on imposing their worldview, their advice, or their judgment on you. They often do it with good intentions, but without realizing it, they're crossing your fundamental boundaries and demanding your compliance. This is when you require a phrase that marks your definitive position with complete respect, but without yielding even an inch of your independence. That's your opinion, and I respect it, but I don't share it. It is a response that does not confront, but flawlessly defines. It is the elegant way of saying, I hear you, I value you as a person, but I have my own sovereign judgment, and it is final. Imagine someone you care about relentlessly insist on convincing you of something, a professional decision you don't want to make, a deeply held belief you don't share, or a character judgment you deem unfair. Instead of arguing point by point or staying silent to avoid tension, you tell them in a firm, calm voice, "That's your opinion, and I respect it, but I don't share it." The follow-up is truly magical. The other person is immediately forced to accept your stance with no room left to attack it. Because you are not dismissing or invalidating their point of view, you are simply reaffirming your own unassailable autonomy. Seneca made the truth of this clear. To be a slave to the opinion of others is the worst of all prisons. And this phrase is the key to escaping that prison. It is the most sophisticated, elegant way of saying, I think for myself, and I do not require your approval to do so. Using this response frequently bestows upon you a quality few people possess: emotional independence. And when someone realizes they can no longer pressure, shame, or manipulate you into agreement, they will begin to respect you even more profoundly. The quiet supremacy of character. Now you hold the keys to 5 responses that will not merely defend you, but will fundamentally strengthen and define your character. 5 powerful, concise phrases that, when delivered with serenity, confidence, and absolute clarity, cause the other person to fall silent. Not because you have crushed them, but because you have effortlessly risen above them. Remember, respect is never imposed by force. It is inspired by character. Let us internalize them one final time. I don't need to raise my voice to be right. The way you speak says more about you than it does about me. Let's talk when we can do it respectfully. I'd prefer not to continue this conversation. That's your opinion, and I respect it, but I don't share it. Do not for a moment underestimate the tectonic power of these phrases. As you begin to practice them and integrate them into your daily interactions, you will notice an undeniable shift. People will start to listen to you more attentively, and they will tread more carefully around you. This is because you are no longer someone easily manipulated, provoked, or pushed aside. You are someone with presence, with inviolable control, and with a quiet, powerful voice. Before you go, I want you to ask yourself a deep question. What would be the impact on your life if you consistently applied these 5 responses with unshakable centeredness? What would transform in your personal and professional relationships? Share your thoughts in the comments because this journey is one we can embark on together. I will carefully read each comment and share with one of you a personalized action plan to not only integrate these phrases, but to rewire your entire emotional reality forever. This transformation is not just about becoming stronger in conflict. It is about embodying a new level of emotional independence and peace that will inspire others to follow your lead.
The alchemy of response, transforming conflict into sovereignty. If you have read this far, a part of your spirit already recognizes the fatigue of fighting fire with fire. You are tired of the emotional hangovers that follow a pointless argument. You long for a peace that is not the absence of noise, but a deep, unshakable calm in the heart of the storm. The truth is, we are all wounded by the world's impatience, its quickness to judge, and its sheer, deafening volume. But the greatest wound is the one we inflict upon ourselves every time we surrender our inner sanctuary to the control of another person's temper. The Stoic gift is the promise of sovereignty. It is the radical idea that your peace is a fortress only you can unlock and only you can defend. Think of those 5 phrases not as conversational tricks, but as acts of grace towards your own soul. When you say, "I don't need to raise my voice to be right," you are not rebuking them. You are claiming your own dignity. When you say, "I'd prefer not to continue this conversation," you are not being weak. You are being a fierce, uncompromising protector of your mental health. This is the path of the modern Stoic, to move through the world not as a fragile leaf tossed by every external gust, but as a deeply rooted tree, whose branches may sway, but whose trunk remains solid, nourished by its own internal water. This transformation from impulsive reactor to calm sovereign is the most beautiful and necessary journey of a lifetime. It is the moment you realize that your life is not a series of reactions to others, but a carefully sculpted masterpiece of your own choosing. The silence you create in others is merely a reflection of the profound silence you have first cultivated within yourself. Your call to sovereignty. Begin the great work. The wisdom of the emperors and the teachers is now yours. You have the map. The only thing left is the courage to walk the path. Do not let these 5 tools sit as mere words on a page. Today, you must decide to carry them into the world, to practice them not in a life or death crisis, but in the small, daily moments that test your patience. Begin the great work now. Choose one of the 5 phrases that speaks loudest to your current struggles. Write it down and place it where you will see it multiple times a day, on your phone background, in your wallet, on your bathroom mirror. Commit to using it the very next time a situation arises where your peace is threatened. Feel the shift in your posture, the clarity in your mind, and the immediate calming rush of controlled power the moment you deliver it. This is the moment your life truly begins, when you stop being merely a passenger and take the wheel of your own destiny, guided by the quiet, powerful light of Stoic wisdom. Which of these 5 pillars of sovereignty will you integrate first? Tell us in the comments and begin the transformation of your inner and outer world today. The truest strength awaits you.